Well, hello again. This is Two Film Maniacs. I'm Vin.
This is Rick.
And today we are going to talk about Die Hard. It is the Christmas season. We are a week before Christmas here. And Die Hard is probably my favorite Christmas movie. And most people don't consider it a Christmas movie, but fuck them. We're going to talk about Die Hard today. So, Rick, let's just give the facts of Die Hard. Let's talk about the year. Let's bring everybody back to when this film came out.
Die Hard, let's see, based on a novel.
There you go. It's based on a novel?
Based on a novel. The name of the novel was Nothing Lasts Forever.
Oh, that's right. I do remember that. Okay, so let's just talk about came out in 88.
1988.
All right, so time-wise, 88, 73, 83.
What's awesome is
like
Die Hard
15 years old.
Die Hard 2 is 90. You know,
yeah.
So yeah,
that's still
getting those things out. You know.
But this film, I think, just blew open the doors for action adventure, and you know, from the moment he gets off this plane to the end, it's just nonstop. It's just the most badass film. Obviously, it created a series. It gave an entire career to Bruce Willis because all he did prior to that was fucking TV. Yeah. It was John McTiernan, who's director of awesome flicks like Predator and shit like that. So we'll talk about him and those other films. But we're just trying to bring you back to the time period.
Alan Rickman's definitely one of the best villains of all time.
Yeah, number one.
Hans Gruber.
Top three.
Hans Gruber.
Gruber, top three badass villains, for sure.
R.I.P. to him. He had a late career resurgence where he played in the Harry Potter movies where he's the...
Yes.
And
then a lot of Kevin Smith films, he brought him back because, you know, he adored him as well. And he was a great actor. He was a badass,
great.
Man.
Yeah,
He
Alan
was
Rickman's
just
a great actor. He makes the film, you know,
yeah,
like you have
totally.
A little different from the Darth Vader, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Anton Chigurh, to where this guy was just, you know, like this elegant and regal villain, to where, you know, he didn't have to overpower you physically.
Yes.
Just with cunning and guile, he was going to take you down. So you didn't have this. It's weird because you didn't have the. If I got him in a room, I'm going to beat the hell out of him.
Yeah.
But you have that fear of, this guy's going to outsmart me, so if I walk in a room, it's probably booby-trapped with bombs and, you know, so at every turn, he has something up his sleeve to where he's just, like, completely ruthless.
Yeah.
Which,
And in 88, we're talking about, you know, this European terrorist taking over the Nagasaki building in L.A.
And I was going to say that. You remember
that time period,
the beginning, and at the time, now they're, like, everybody's saying China's buying up everything.
Yeah.
But you go back to that time period, they're saying Japan was buying up everything. It's like, oh, Japan owns all of downtown Los Angeles, or Japan owns all of New York, or Japan's own all of this or whatever. And it started with that.
Yes, and it was 88. You know, the year was 88. We were talking about just products coming in, how the Gremlins touched on that as well. Like if you were a Gremlin, it was a radio made from Japan, and it was a Gremlin inside of it. That's why it didn't make it work. We should buy American. Like, all this stuff comes back into play. There was reasons behind the films that we like to talk about because, you know, it's very important to talk about the time period that these films are made because there's a lot of information that's put into the film, whether it's supposed to be transparent or whether it's supposed to, you know, push some sort of agenda. And, you know, a lot of people just look at it, oh, it's pure entertainment, but it's not. There's a lot going on. Yes. In 88, you had the whole Iran-Contra affair going on. Everything was, you know, we're talking about, I think it was George Bush just came into the office after being vice president for 8 years behind Ronald Reagan, so you had Reaganomics going on. But you had this badass New York cop, and at that time, I think cops were always sort of villainized in ways from Serpico, you know, through the 80s. They always had like a hard time in films, you know, 48 Hours, it was like the drunk cop and the funny, you know what I'm saying? They always had it bad, but he sort of played it straight, like a 1970s straight up Popeye Doyle type of vibe of a cop. And he basically flies over because his wife and a couple of kids, now divorced, he lives on the East Coast, she lives on the West Coast. He flies over to visit. They're having a Christmas party at her work, and he just stumbles into this entire cops and robbers situation, you know, and from the very beginning, like we said, it's just nonstop action.
You know, I know the series has gone on, and each one that I've seen, you know, like I saw the one with him and his son. I think they're in Russia.
Horrible.
Yeah, it was
horrible. Even two sucked. I thought they all sucked after this first one.
What did they do with the wife?
She was in it. I thought she was in it a few times.
Was
she? 2, she was in it.
Right. Do they divorce in
3? I think 3. She's like on the phone, you know, like a cutaway,
okay.
and then by 4, I don't even think she's in 4. Now it's her, you know, the son that's now.
Right. The son and the daughter. There's a son and the daughter, right?
Yeah.
They have, he has like 2 kids and.
We're coming up on 30 years. 30th anniversary Christmas edition of this film is actually coming out right now. Can you believe it?
No, it's over 30 years.
2 years? Well, this is like an old thing. Yeah, because, it came out in 88. That's right.
Yeah.
So we're in 2020.
So that's 32 years ago.
But I don't know why they're putting out this edition. Maybe this is just an old ad.
Yeah, just an old ad. Yeah.
That's nuts.
Yeah.
I can't believe it's over 30 years.
Die Hard. Jeez. Man.
All right, so we go to the quotes. First, we'll go to the quotes, famous quotes out of this one, bunch of them. Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker. That was the biggest one that came from it.
Yes.
You know, other memorable quotes. I'm trying to think now. Oh, the quarterback is toast. That was a biggie from the guy that was the Brainiac. The Brainiac that was like getting into everything.
Yes,
I remember that. That was a pretty big one.
Yes. The nerdy guy.
The nerdy guy. And then one of the characters in there, the guy that sort of gave everybody up. Do you remember Ellis?
Yes.
I couldn't stand Ellis, man. I was just like, he is the epitome of just the slimiest worm. And everybody in the film hated this fucking guy.
And they were happy when he died.
And everybody was just like, who gives a fuck? Like, she hated him because he was always the wife, because he was always hitting on her. The owner, you know, Nagasaki himself, he was just, I think it was Nagasaki, I can't remember his name. He hated him. He was just like, you know, Ellis is a good salesman, but he's sort of this man-child that we have to deal with. And then Gruber, he just couldn't stand him from the very beginning.
And at that time, when you have all these movies like Wall Street and all these things going out, like, what I liked about the movies were they would play on those stereotypes. So Ellis was...
he was Charlie Sheen.
He was Charlie Sheen
from Wall Street.
From Wall Street,
you know? He
was
the typical 80s Wolf of Wall Street fucking character.
And then for me, in the early 90s, when I'm still, you know, like getting into cartoons and getting ready for, middle school, high school, and all those type of things or whatever, they would put the cartoons on. So that's how I'm introduced to a lot of these things, because you see the cartoon, you have no idea. Die Hard
cartoon?
Yeah, they have these little cartoons for
I don't
for these
remember
little
that
shows.
at all. I know they had like Chuck Norris and all this other shit, and we were going to talk about doing a podcast specifically on those, like crazy off-the-wall cartoons based off of fucking movies that were like R-rated. I couldn't believe the Die Hard one. I don't remember seeing that one at all.
Yeah, so there are all these little ones, you know, that pop up, and you're introduced that way. But, you know, like, there's one thing as a kid, you're watching a cartoon, and then you go to the movie, you're like, oh, man, this is this is awesome, you know.
Yeah, and they sort of had, the whole New York cop, you know, he didn't want to be bothered with anybody. Everybody pissed him off. He was always angry, you know, he cursed a lot. He was this, Western character. He was, basically it's like a Western. All these action films have Western qualities and shit. Even saying yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker, and the whole idea that he's in a fucking T-shirt and no shoes through the whole movie. So you're like, wow, this guy has no shoes, and all of a sudden, all the glass is breaking. It's an actual plot point. It was genius. It was a very well-made movie. The action was incredible through the whole thing. There was some funny banter, some serious shit going on. But the story was followed. I followed the story really well, and I just liked that about it, that it was a well-made film. And for something in 1988, where everything was so bravado and over the top, with money and everything. It was a different time, and it captures the time as well. Coming to L.A. and his chauffeur just being like this, upbeat guy, and just he's stuck underneath the building the entire time, not knowing what's going on. Then you have that dickweed FBI guy,
he was great in a lot of films. And you had the guy from. You had the black guy from Family Matters.
From Family Matters, He didn't do many films from that, but he was like perfect. I thought he was perfect.
He was perfect. Yes.
So it was cast very well, and again, it just blew everybody out of the water immediately.
Hans Gruber, what did you think of his performance?
It was perfect. It made that movie, like you said. That I don't think the movie would have been as successful without him. because he added something. What was that? Somebody coming? I heard something in the back. So, Hans Gruber, top 5 best villains in films for sure. But we also have to remember the other villain that was in there. He's got an odd name, but he was also in Money Pit, and he was in Witness. What was his name? Do you know his name? I can't find his name now. We got to discuss also other people that were involved because the guy who shot this film was Jean Dupont. Remember him? And he directed like Speed. He went on to direct a bunch of things, Lara Croft and stuff like that.
Speed was awesome.
Speed, Twister, Lara Croft series and stuff. So there, we do need to lay down those guys. Just from writer, producer, director. This way we can start, showing the thread of good films being done by top directors, top DPs, top producers, and
Paul
you
Gleason
follow
was the
them.
Guy from the FBI. He was freaking awesome.
He was a dick in that movie.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I hated him.
Yeah,
Alexander
awesome.
Godunov was his name, but I knew him from the blonde-haired, the tall blonde guy that his brother got his neck snapped.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
he's like,
yeah,
remember when he was fighting Bruce Willis, and he was like, that's when I killed your brother. And he snapped his neck like a little bitch.
6'3" ballet dancer.
Yeah, he was huge. He was hilarious in fucking Money Pit. Money Pit he was good in, and Witness, another great fucking movie. But Harrison Ford, we got to go into him as well. He's just
he
awesome.
died at 45.
Yes, he did die young.
I didn't know he was
I
dead.
remember he died very young. So okay, Die Hard. What else? What else are we going to talk about? Die Hard. Favorite scene. Okay, what's your favorite? What image pops into your head with Die Hard? Like as the epitome of the representation of Die Hard. Like, what do you remember most?
The scene that strikes me is when he's in the office and the glass is shattered everywhere, and he looks down at his feet.
Yep.
And then he has to get across the room.
Same exact spot that I thought of is the foot thing.
Yeah, it's the foot thing. It's like
it was
like
such a big
earlier.
plot point.
Yeah, that he
really
didn't have on
was.
his shoes,
Yes.
and it really, really used that. The wife realizing that he's still alive, and
Yes.
he's like, John's still alive, and she's like, how do you know that? And she sees
Nobody will piss anybody off.
She was like,
and
one person that can
elevator
piss somebody off.
dings. Elevator dings is a big thing with me with sound with that movie. Like there was always dings as like a cut point or an edit point for the elevators to open, and there's a dead body. To open and it blows up the fucking building. To go to the 6th floor. There was always this elevator usage in that film. I thought that was pretty ingenious because it sticks out in my head as something that I relate with that film.
Alexander Godunov, one of the best villains, though.
Yeah.
He was, as far as the henchmen go, like he's one of the most memorable henchmen. In any film, like he's like a Boba Fett or like one of these just background villains to where he just like takes over when he gets an opportunity.
And he did steal the scenes
with
Hans, with
yes.
Bruce Willis. He did steal the scenes with all of them. Then he found out when his brother died, he just dominated. He controlled the scenes. I don't, it's strange that he didn't. Well, he died young, but 95, he was around a little bit. But if you think about the films that he made, he even stole the scenes from Harrison Ford in Witness. Your eyes gravitate towards him, and he's dominating. Yes. Tom Hanks and Shelley Duvall, in Money Pit, he stole the scenes that he was in as well.
He's in Anna Karina. I have to go back and check him out in that.
I do not remember that at all. I don't think I've even seen that. Was he in anything else? Was that it? Just like 4 or 5 films?
The Money Pit, North. He did Dogfighters right before he died.
All right, so he's in, but he was good. He was definitely good.
Drank himself to death.
I mean, is that what it is?
Yeah.
That's what happens when you're from those northern European countries, man. There's too much darkness and too much vodka running around.
His body was discovered. Godunov death was determined to be due to complications from hepatitis, secondary to chronic alcoholism.
Yeah, he was a drinker. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
All right, so let's wrap up Die Hard. And so 1988 film, top 5 best action films of all time. I think, me personally, #1 best Christmas film, even though my wife says it's not a Christmas film.
I'm going to go Gremlins for Christmas films.
Gremlins? So you're a little dark, too. You're not like Home Alone. No. My wife is like Elf. My kids love Home Alone. No. Then there's Christmas Story, Miracle on 34th Street, It's a Wonderful Life, and we're like Die Hard and Gremlins.
And Gremlins, yes.
Pretty soon it'll be like Silent Night, Deadly Night, Fuck Christmas.
Or what's the Chevy Chase when Christmas Vacation?
Christmas Vacation. That was a good one too. Awesome. That was a good one. All right, we got to do a whole Christmas podcast for sure. We're gonna go read it.
You can stop it at Chevy Chase. Christmas Vacation.
All right, well, thanks for hanging with us. This is Two Film Maniacs. Check us out soon. We'll be talking about some more films and some more filmmaking and some pop culture things going on. So
we're gonna keep you guys abreast on current events. So we're gonna jump into some controversial topics.
Yes.
Things with the Gina Carano and Chris Pratt, and you have a lot of things going on what we're obligated to do or not obligated to do, or responsible to do as filmmakers, actors, and creatives. So look forward to talking to you guys soon.
All right. So this is Two Film Maniacs. I'm Vin.
This is Rick.
And we'll speak to you soon.